Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun, and this is our reaction and review for the series premiere of Sweetpea over on Starz. This has been a show that Jess and I have been really excited to see, both in terms of if you love this channel, you probably know we really like the darker persuasion of entertainment.
Yeah, we do.
And also, this has Ella Purnell, who just so happens to be one of those people who is magically in almost everything we like, whether it be Yellow
Mhm.
Jackets or whether it be Fallout that came out earlier this year.
Yeah, we really love her. So when we saw that she was going to be starring in this star show called Sweet Pea, we knew that we wanted to check it out. Once we heard the premise of it, we were
Yeah.
like, I think this is going to be a very relatable show to a lot of people, which is, interesting to say because this show is about, a woman who feels really invisible. People treat her quite badly. She's not able to really have a voice to speak out. And because everything's kind of piling on her, she just is like, creates this kind of kill list in her head of like,
Yeah.
man, if I had the power to do something, who would be first on my kill list? And I'm not saying everybody out there has their own kill list, but
Mhm.
I think a lot of us have gone through feeling invisible and wishing that we had more of a voice. I know I have felt like that in my life. So when I heard the premise of the show, I was like, I think I'm really going to like this show. And I do.
Yeah, I think it's really easy to sort of sit back and be like, okay, this is just a show about a killer. And yes, there is killing even within the first episode, but
Yep.
really, I think this is more a show about watching someone kind of manifest this anger that's inside of them because of feeling ignored and left out and lonely and these emotions that I felt that all of us have probably felt at some point in our lives. And it's just she chooses this incredibly destructive way in which to channel this emotion out there to other people. Like, I know just based on the premise alone, it's going to be very easy for everybody to be like, oh, this is the new Dexter. But it's like,
Or Kill Bill.
yeah, it's like Dexter had a very specific MO for why he did the things that he did. He had
Yep.
a very specific sort of dark passenger, and the
Yeah.
motives are very, very different on these shows.
Mhm.
Both of them do have a little bit of a dark sense of humor. So if you like Dexter, you're probably going to like Sweet Pea. I really like this show coming out of one episode. Like, I'll say that a lot. I had
Yeah.
as good a time as you're going to have with a show that is about, people getting killed.
Absolutely. I mean, this show has been billed as sort of this dark comedy, and there are some comedy elements to it, but it feels like it's leaning more on the darker side than on the comedy side, which I really appreciate going into it.
Yeah, it still feels grounded in a certain element of realism that
Yeah.
kind of makes the world make sense. And the characters are interesting. This is probably my favorite performance that I've seen from Ella so far. I mean, it's only one episode in. We'll see exactly where it goes from here.
But before we go any further, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are going to be here all season long with Sweet Pea, bringing you video reviews. And if you hit that subscribe button, that way you won't miss any of our reviews. We are also covering another brand new show called Teacup, which is, it is spooky season,
Yeah.
guys. If you are looking for another really great horror show, this show is for you. It is about this family that is trapped at this farm and they're unable to get out, and all these things are sort of happening to them as they are trapped at this farm trying to figure a way out. Is one of them
Yeah.
behind it all, and they're trapped there with the murder maker. It's so good. It's 2 episodes in, it just started, so if you're
Yeah.
looking for something fresh, jump into that. We are also covering grotesquerie here at the channel. It's a bit deeper into the season, but it's still the first season.
Mhm.
Very, very good mystery going on that show as well.
Thank you guys so much. And you can join our Patreon. We have a link in the description below if you want to see our exclusive reviews over
Mhm.
there for The Penguin, which
Yep.
is on HBO. We are having a great time talking all about Oz Cobb and what he's doing. So thank you so much to our patrons, and you can check that out in the description.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just set the table a little bit since this is a brand new show. Ella is playing Rhiannon Lewis, who is this young woman who has a seemingly normal, mundane job, but she's
Mhm.
also gone through a lot of really terrible stuff. And no matter where she turns, it feels like she's not getting anything she wants. Everybody ignores her. at work. People don't want to talk to her even when she's out on, enjoying her day-to-day life. Even, the people that she's interested in as friends or prospective romantic partners, they don't want to give her the time of day. She's just
Yeah.
miserable.
Yeah, her mom left her and her sister when they were much younger, so she was just raised with her sister there, who she doesn't really have much of a relationship with. It seems her sister was really close with some mean girls from high school that really put her through the
Yeah.
ringer. And her dad is really the only person that she had somewhat of a relationship with. They both have a really dark sense of humor, but he's in the hospital and she's trying to still be there for him the best that she can, but he ends up dying and she is completely alone. It's just her and her dog. And, this is all she's got left in her life. Her sister is trying to sell the family home, which is where she lives. So she's going to lose her home. She's lost her dad. Her sister doesn't want to talk to her for whatever reason. She always leaves her unread. And even when they're back for the funeral, she doesn't really want to talk to her except to get rid of the house. And she doesn't know what to do. Like I said, it's just her and her dog. And then her dog gets the John Wick treatment where now she just doesn't have anything. And that is the absolute last straw where she's just like, she can't take it anymore.
The real challenge I think this first episode has is, okay, it's already been established that this is somebody with very dark urges that thinks about taking people out. Now
Yeah.
you have to then justify how and why she's actually going to start doing it. And I think what they've done that's really smart, it's a chain of events and you
Yeah.
see it play out. It is not just what happened to her dog, which, somebody who grew up with chihuahuas, that just like ripped my heart out. I felt so bad. I was just like, no, but it was the dog. It was
Yeah, it's one of the reasons that I've been avoiding watching John Wick. It's like everyone's like, "Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Once you get past the dog, it'll be okay." I just can't.
no, I can't. I have a really hard time with animals. Now it's the dog. It's what happened to her dad. It
Yeah.
is what happened to her in high school. There's sort of this queen bee figure in Julia who has done some really, really bad stuff to her. And so it's this combination of things. And it's also things that weren't coming to a forefront where she's got her boss, aka Higgins from Ted Lasso, who is just
Calling her Sweetpea, and like actually she goes to her boss
yeah.
with her resume to be like, "Hey, I think that I can move from reception. I think I can be a junior reporter here. Just take a look at my resume." He takes a look at it and hands it back to her and is like, "Can you recycle this?" I was like, that would have been it for me.
Yeah, like her boss is just so unbelievably demeaning. This other guy comes in, gets the job instead of her. So it's like she's seeing her career prospects go completely down the toilet.
Yep.
She's not getting what she asked there. She's not getting any sort of outlet, the sort of channel. What's going on? And so it feels believable enough that she would go to this level because of everything else that's already happened to her.
Julia feels like she is going to be the biggest bad of this show. So
Mhm.
she is definitely on the kill list, but it feels like she's either someone who will be saved until the end of this season, or if there is another season, she will probably be someone that will be in season 2. Because I don't feel like every single person that's on her list is going to go this first season.
No, it feels like they potentially have a setup here to do a lot more. And like we say with a lot of shows, I know Sweet Pea is based on some source material.
Yep.
We have not read that, so please don't spoil anything from that. But I know that there are multiple books that are out there. So it feels like there is a possibility, depending on, how it, I guess, performs, Ella's availability. I know she's busy, but all these different things that we could see more of it. And really, I want to see more of it because one of my really only critiques of this show through one episode is just that it feels like 6 episodes is way too short for me. I really want to spend time getting to know a lot of these characters. And yeah, this premiere was paced pretty quickly so
Mhm.
that, sure, the rest of the season could be paced in a similar way, that way we get a beginning, middle, and end. But I like getting to know characters. I like seeing things go wrong, how they sort of get around it. I'm not saying every season of Dexter was perfect by any means, especially those later ones that were pure doo-doo. But at least every season of Dexter, you did have a little bit of time to get to know everybody.
Yeah, the one critique I have of this is that I wanted more time with her and her dad, because her dad did seem to be sort of this one shining light in her life that was like, listen, like, you really need to get control over this and stop being a doormat and stop letting people walk all over you like you are better than this. I know you can get to be better than this, but it was so quick. And I feel like it would have added quite a bit that when he does pass away, she's really sort of spiraling out, where it's really sat with her that she can do better and she for herself and by herself than what she has been doing.
The thing that I was the most excited about through this episode is because I knew going in that this was a pretty short show. It was sort of this feeling of, okay, there's a good chance she's going to take somebody out by the end of this premiere.
Yeah.
So I was sort of sitting here and being like, okay, who is it going to be? Who is it going to be? When she's with that, the guy who took her job, I was like, oh, she's really clearly about to do something here. Does she? No, she doesn't do anything to Higgins. I will learn his actual name eventually. He's still Higgins to me for now.
No, I really like that the person she ended up killing first was someone who was not on her list at all. It was someone she didn't know, that was off the radar, because this is something she's new at. So she's never killed anyone before. It was something that was impulsive, that just, he was at the wrong place at the wrong time of all the things that happened to her, and he did something to her, and she was just like, and I'm done. And you're at the wrong place at the wrong time. And it was so messy and sort of like rolled him into the sewage, and there's blood everywhere. Yeah, she picked up her knife and everything, but I'm kind of like, because she's doing this in a way that's so sloppy, because she doesn't know, she's never done this before. She doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know. She's not like Dexter, where she had someone help her learn how to make a room and like clean up and all that sort of jazz. It feels like this could quickly catch up with her.
Yeah, this is going to probably ratchet up in some pretty crazy ways here, because this guy, or I guess I'll call him Mr. Tinkle, Mr. Tinkle had himself in a very bad situation. It was very impulsive. She makes an impulsive decision, and ultimately now she's got to figure out, okay, do I just leave all of this be now? Do I try to revisit why I did this? Do I try to look at, who this person really was? Like, what measure of guilt am I going to feel? Because that's really going to inspire kind of where the show goes from here.
And it feels like not much guilt at all. She got home, she cleaned herself up. We saw her sort of look at herself in the mirror and feel a confidence she hasn't had before. I mean, we saw in this episode too, she actually at one point was like, she called her sister and was like, nah, you're not going to be selling this house. This is not happening. And tell Julia, no, you know what? I'm going to go tell Julia myself, and goes down to the club to confront her and be like, you did this to me. You did that to me. Like, and Julia's not taking any responsibility. It doesn't get her anywhere where she feels like better about herself, that she's gotten it off her chest. Nothing makes her feel better about it until this moment where Mr. Tinkle gets killed. Thanks for that.
Certain words here. I was like, how can we say this in a way that's not going to get big YouTube wagging its finger at us?
Yeah.
But no, I think, Mr. Tinkle's demise here is a pretty important turning point for her as a character. And I'm very excited to see where the show goes from here, because it does have a lot of different possibilities, because it is the question of, okay, can she keep this under wraps in terms of how sloppy she is? But then there's also this question of, is she always going to be able to do this where nobody ever sees her doing it? Nobody ever figures it out? Because I think people are going to notice a change in her, because if she's finding herself feeling more confident, if she suddenly goes to work one day, telling people off or suddenly standing up for herself, I think people might be like, what's changed here? Are we going to start following you around?
Well, here's the thing too, is the first person that she's killed is someone who is not connected to her in any kind of way. What's going to happen when it's like, oh, her sister is dead, her boss is dead, her high school, nemesis is dead, it's going to be kind of like, okay, what do we all have in common here? Her. She is the person that people are like dropping dead around her, that at some point someone's going to make the connection that it's her.
How much is she actively going to be thinking about this? Like, this is another
Right.
question where if you start to get this into your head and, if she starts to actually enjoy this, how much is she going to be able to curtail herself from doing the things that she actually wants to do? Because this is the other reality, and I don't know if she's going to be facing this. Let's say she takes out guy who took her job. That doesn't mean that Higgins is going to give her that job next.
No, no, unless what's awoken in her, and we won't know this probably until the next episode, is does she have confidence when she's not killing somebody? That's the
Yeah.
biggest question now, right? Is she has this confidence that she's killed this person, but will that translate then into more confidence in her life around her, where she'll be able to go to her boss and demand that job in a way that he gives her some respect and gives her that chance,
Yeah.
or something like that? Or is she only going to find that confidence when she's killing people? And that's why she'll continue to sort of do it, to get that boost of confidence, because it's the only time she gets it.
I'm going to make a pretty unusual comparison here because
Okay.
Dexter's the obvious one. I kind of think that this show may end up being a little bit more like Ripley, which was on Netflix earlier this year, which of course a
Mhm.
lot of people loved. And,
Loved.
it is one of the most visually stunning shows I think I've ever seen.
Gorgeous.
But, without giving too much away about Ripley, a lot of that show is basically about this insulated group of people and what Ripley ends up doing with all of them. And then at the end of it, it kind of ends in this way where a certain part of the quote unquote job is done. And then there's this question of, okay, then what is next? Like, I could see Sweetpea being a story where we kind of see a lot of these people in her world and maybe a certain number of them get taken out, and then she's sort of left with this question of, okay, provided she doesn't get arrested or taken out herself, what's next for me? Am I gonna go and start going at people? I don't really know. I mean, what do you do when you're a killer driven by a particular thing and everybody has been killed?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why it's like, is she going to actually start taking people out on her list? Or is she going to continue to kill strangers to give herself the confidence to be able to deal with the
Yeah.
people that are in her life? Because there are some people in her life that I could see her killing her boss or killing Julia, sure. But her
Yeah.
sister, there's part of me that's kind of like, her mom is gone,
Yeah.
her dad has passed, and the only person that's really left in her family that's speaking to her kind of is her sister. I mean, we met the aunt at the bar who
Yeah.
didn't even know who she was, but it feels like the sister is somebody that I'm not sure if she'd be able to actually take out, or if she would start to feel in her mind like, oh, if I get rid of Julia and I get rid of some of these other people that she's talking to, she'll have to come and bond with me, right? I'm her sister.
I would be pretty unhappy if they took the sister off the board within the next few episodes. It just feels like there's still a certain amount of humanity here with Rhiannon, right?
Right.
Like, I think if they go too fast in that direction when it is family, it starts to become a little bit unrealistic. And that's something the show's going to have to figure out because it's already kind of straddling this line of realism just because most of us, well, we have a lot of people in our lives we may not like. We're not going to this extreme. So there's only so
Yeah.
far you can really take it.
Yeah, the sister would have to do something that really sort of takes away something from her that she needs. And they have set up that potential of the sister being like, we're selling the house
Yeah.
that dad lived in. I know you live in it, but you'll get your share and you'll just have to figure something else out. And if she's already told her, no, like, I'm going to stay living in this house and you're going to have to figure something else out. The sister has now brought in Julia that's going to help get rid of this house, and the two of them are taking away her home. So that
Yeah.
could be enough that she's like, okay, I need to stop this from happening. The only way I can stop that is if she's dead.
Like I said, they're really going to have to find a way to build all of this up in the way in which you explained it. And if they do that, maybe it will make sense.
Yeah.
But big picture, I really enjoyed the show a lot. And it feels weird and bad to say that with the show that is about killing, but I just feel like it's a very engaging show where you kind of get drawn into the person's world, and maybe it's also a little bit like Killing Eve in this sort of way, where it's just really grounded by the characters and getting invested in these people and the relationships that they have. So I'm pretty curious to see where it's going to go from here.
I really like this show because it's very easy. We cover a lot of
Yes.
mystery and thrillers and horrors here. It's very easy to have characters that are not relatable and that you're
Mhm.
not getting that invested in because you know they're probably going to die or
Yes.
whatever's going to happen to them, right? But here they've really made her so relatable, I think, to so many people that, like I said, not that people are sitting around being like, "Oh, I wish I could kill this person,"
Yeah.
but more so the loneliness, the feeling of isolation that somebody doesn't respect you or see you, things you wish you could say, but you know, you just won't unless you're behind a keyboard. You
Mhm.
know, that kind of
Yeah.
feeling. I just think she's so relatable to so many people that have felt that just loneliness and disrespect and wish that they had some sort of recourse to do something about it. And that's what makes this show really special.
I'm pretty excited to see how people find out about it because it feels like
Mm,
this is going to be a little bit of a word of mouth show. Not everybody has stars, but it's something
mhm.
that I think people will get really on board on. It's a really fascinating watch. It's pretty short, but we're excited to be here for the rest of the journey.
Yeah.
So hit that subscribe button so you do not miss any of that. Also, as Jess said earlier, our coverage of both Teacup and Grotesquerie. This is a pretty big
Hmm.
day for horror here
Yep.
at the channel. And to support us further, join our Patreon. We got a link in the description there. The Penguin is covered exclusively over there. And thank you to our patrons for your
Thank
support.
you.
We'll see you here next time.